With affordability a top concern for voters heading into the midterms, the latest poll from The Economist YouGov shows that a record 63% of Americans disapprove of the way that President Trump is handling the nation's economy. Just 29% approve, which gives him a net approval of -34. It's the lowest number Trump has faced on this issue in either of his terms in office. The poll also finds that 57% of Americans say the economy is getting worse, while only 14% say that it's improving. And the issue of affordability was top of mind when President Trump met with New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani back in November, leading to this rare show of unity between the two leaders.
It was a productive meeting focused on a place of shared admiration and love, which is New York City, and the need to deliver affordability to New Yorkers, the 8.5 million people who call our city their home, who are struggling to afford life in the most expensive city in the United States of America. We spoke about rent, we spoke about groceries, we spoke about utilities, we spoke about the different ways in which people are being pushed out, and I appreciated the time with the president, I appreciated the conversation. I look forward to working together to deliver that affordability for New Yorkers.
According to the inaugural report from the mayor's office looking at New York City's true cost of living, measuring what the study says it costs to live with dignity, not just necessities for survival, 62% of residents do not have the resources to meet the cost of living in New York City, of course, our nation's largest city. Joining us now, the co-chair of the National True Cost of Living Coalition, Jennifer Jones-Austin. Jennifer, thanks so much for being with us. So let's just talk. These numbers are stark, right? The polling suggests Americans really feel it. These reports reveal that New Yorkers in particular, but Americans in many big cities, Americans across the country, just feel like they can't make ends meet.
They certainly cannot make ends meet. First, let me just thank you for having me here, because this is an important issue. We keep talking about the true cost of living, but we're not really measuring it. In America, we measure poverty, we measure acute deprivation, but we don't measure what it costs for people to truly live, to not just survive, but to actually get by, get ahead, stay ahead. And so what we're seeing across America is that there are many Americans who don't fall into the poverty numbers. They're not, making $10,000, $20,000, $30,000. Sometimes they're making as much as $100,000, and they're struggling. And so what we're doing now is saying, let's figure out what this is, because you can't solve what you don't see. And we're doing it with the true cost of living measure.
Jennifer, one of the things that occurs to me in growing up doing civil rights and to be transparent, you're the vice chairman of our National Board of National Action Network and work with this. But growing up, your father is the one who introduced my mother and I to Jesse Jackson. Dr. King fought poor people, Reverend Jackson, Rainbow. But as long as it was a color issue, people looked at it one way. Talk about now how this is not just black and browns, but that the many of just white Americans who believed in Donald Trump, believed in a lot of what was being said, are now suffering economic displacement and poverty, and that we need to deal with this affordability issue across the board. This is no longer just, even though we're disproportionately unemployed, the figures are worse. It's bad for everybody. Talk about
That's right. Well, it's all in context of measuring poverty. When you measure poverty and you associate poverty with black and brown people, the false narratives about who is poor, why they're poor, they're lazy, they're not working, they don't want to get up off the job, the welfare mom being black, all of that. When you measure poverty, or you measure, I should say, income security based on poverty, then you don't see other people in the same way. What we need to do is understand that we've got white Americans, we've got black Americans, brown Americans, Asian Americans. People overall are struggling. And what we're seeing is that they're working. Many are working full-time jobs, but the costs are so high and the resources that they have to meet those costs are not adding up. In New York City, as an example, we have 44% of white people here in New York City who are saying they're struggling. We have 66% of black people and about 78% of Hispanic people, but we've got a significant number of white people. And what it is that the resources are not covering their costs. The costs that we're looking at, they're not like what it costs to live extravagantly, but what it costs for fair market rent, what it costs to actually pay for the Affordable Care Act Silver Plan for health care, have a quality, healthy diet. We're looking at those costs. We're also looking at savings, right? You can't get ahead and stay ahead if you're not capturing savings and debt, student loan debt. When you look at all of those costs, you realize that on average across America, it's about $144,000 for a family to get ahead and stay ahead. But the resources people have to meet those costs, because wages have not kept up with inflation and because people don't have assets in the main.
So, Mr. Mayor, take the next question, Jennifer. But before you do, briefly talk about this. Obviously, was a central theme of your time in office, trying to battle affordability and income stratification.
Yeah, look, and it can be done. I think the bottom line, and let's just look right now in New York City, to the great credit of Mayor Mamdani and Governor Hochul. They're focusing on universal child care. We did full-day pre-K for all for free in my time in office. We started to do 3K for 3-year-olds. Mamdani, to his great credit, he's going to do 3-year-olds. He's going to do 2-year-olds and create over time with the state a truly universal child care structure. Now, that's one of the biggest expenses families face. I had people come up to me all the time in New York City and say, we would have had to move out if we didn't have things like pre-K and 3K to keep us going. So, I want to emphasize Jennifer's research is so crucial that tells us just how tough things are for all races. But solutions exist on childcare, on affordable housing. And I think New York City is going to be one of the laboratories because Mamdani, to his great credit, he focuses on one thing and one thing only, affordability. We can prove here that this actually can be addressed.
Yeah. And final word to you, Jennifer.
If he's being modest here. It was under his leadership as mayor that we first began talking about the true cost of living, and we got a ballot measure to mandate that New York City actually calculate what it costs to live here. So now we have that. It's a model for the nation. We've worked with the Urban Institute to develop it for the nation. It helps us to appreciate that for some people, families with children you need child care. You've got families who don't have children, but they have disability concerns. They need resources for disability care and caregiving. And so where I'm going with this is that when you have a measure that actually sees what the challenges are, you can work to solve those challenges with policy.
It's such an important conversation, one we will continue having. Co-chair of the National True Cost of Living Coalition, Jennifer Jones Austin, thank you so much.